Hi, everybody. It's Jessica Stone at Stansberry Research, and I'm joined now by Brian Tycangco, our analyst from True Wealth Opportunities China. And Brian, I want to talk to you today about the X factor weighing on the markets. And that, of course, is the U.S. China trade relationship, specifically the potential for more tariffs on Chinese goods. How much of the talk about a renewed trade war would you say is weighing on the markets?
I would say that it's weighing a lot on the markets. When Donald Trump renewed the threats on higher tariffs or possibly higher tariffs on China over the week, the markets kind of tanked. And I think it's still very fresh in people's memory what happened just less than 2 years ago when the trade war started. I mean, that year the S&P fell 6%.
We, of course, know it's unlikely that China will meet its pledge under the Phase One trade agreement to purchase $250 billion in U.S. goods. That's probably a given. It's a pretty, it's a reach at this point, right? But are there any signs that you're seeing that Beijing and Washington might be willing to work something out to give each other a break, given what's happening in the global economy?
Right now, it's not just about China not wanting to buy, but it's also a matter of the U.S. Is the U.S. capable of supplying all of these things?
Mm,
Um, yeah, you have right now a shortage of beef in the U.S. Wendy's is having trouble finding beef for its
right.
burgers, and then you want China to suddenly step in and buy up billions of dollars of beef from the U.S., essentially becoming a competitor to all these companies in the U.S. That's just going to push inflation through the roof. In an environment where you want low interest rates, that's not an ideal situation. So I think that there will be some, I think that there will be some renegotiation or at least some delay of these promises.
You know, the key with the last global recession really was that we saw the US and China work together to bring it about a recovery. All of the coordination that took place in the multilateral bodies between these two great economies. Do you really think that it's possible for the global economy to recover if there isn't more cooperation between the United States and China like there was during the last recession?
When it comes to China, I mean, they spent they had a $600 billion stimulus program back in 2008,
Yeah.
2009, which actually turned out to be more like $2 trillion when you add on all of the stuff that they spent on infrastructure. That sort of really saved the world as demand everywhere else kind of crumbled. This year, this time around, China isn't keen to doing a similar kind of stimulus program. We have to wait until both countries come together, the leaders of both countries come together and actually cooperate to bring the world back on its feet. I mean, that's something that everybody wants to see, and I think investors want to see. And we see it in the markets. Whenever the rhetoric kind of dies down, the anti-China rhetoric kind of dies down, we see the markets go up. And when it starts to go up again, the rhetoric goes up again. There's a new factor thrown in. There's new blame thrown in. Then the markets kind of take a hit. So we know what the markets want, and
Mhm.
we hope that that's what happens.
Finally, I'm curious, we just got off of a holiday weekend for China where people were allowed to travel for the first time. And so
Yeah.
we have sort of some data points that we didn't have before about how many people are willing to travel in China. What did we learn and what could it portend for the US as it reopens its economy?
They just went through their Labor Day holiday. It's a 5 day long holiday. And what we've seen is a 40% drop versus the same period last year, the same holiday last year, in terms of the number of tourists out. And in terms of spending, it's down about 50+%. You think this is really bad, but it's actually not, considering that most of China's tourist facilities, tourist attractions, they're operating at 30% capacity. So even at a drop of 40%, that's still doing pretty well, considering most of these people have really had nowhere to go because China is again managing the reopening. They're not sort of like in a hurry to get the economy up and running at the expense of the public's health. And here's where we see maybe some leads as to where the rest of the world needs to take its economies more carefully. But having said that, there are bright spots in the market. I mean, rental car business is up 10% year on year from the same holiday last year in China. That also gives us an indication of how things are going to evolve for the travel and tourism sector when the U.S. economy does reopen.
Thanks for your
You're
time,
welcome.
Brian Tycangco. We appreciate it all the way from Manila, Philippines. And if you would like to see much more content just like this, please do subscribe to our YouTube channel, or you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. That's all for now. Thanks for watching.